When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
I mean, the short answer is because there's a global market, and those countries that have lots of oil and gas see their prices go up alongside with those who don't have that oil and gas. It's the same shifts up in prices in the United States as well. The United States has a lot of oil and gas as well. And so the question becomes, and this is what the government's focused on, is how long is this going to persist, and what can we do to help cushion the blow for Canadians? And that's something we're looking at. Thank you.
So I thought that was actually really interesting. That's actually from last week when the question was asked during a press conference, not even on this, that Mark Carney was giving. And I think that woman probably expressed what many Canadians are asking as well. We're not getting our oil directly from Saudi Arabia or from that part of the world, are we? So why are we seeing our prices go up? Normand Mousseau is a physics professor at the University of Montreal and scientific director of the Institut de l'Énergie Trottier, and he is on the line. Thank you so much for being with us, Monsieur Mousseau.
It's a pleasure.
So you heard that question and answers. I said, I know that's from a few days ago. The situation, at least as far as we can tell, I don't want to say it's gotten better, but it hasn't gotten worse. There is still the discussion over reopening the Strait of Hormuz, but of course for people here, still paying $2 a liter or maybe just a little under $2 a liter. And I know the typical answer was, or typically is always how long until this or finally ends and prices go down. I think we've all learned by now that prices go up faster than they come down. So what are we looking at now based on what's happening in the Middle East, and can we expect the change? How long will that take, do you think?
I mean, the prices have dropped by more than $10 a barrel over the last few days, and this drop should be reflected in the prices over the next coming days. So it's relatively quick. It's a bit slower maybe than when prices go up, but it still goes down reasonably quickly.
So, but even with what's going on, I mean, maybe when we heard the story of a ceasefire having been reached, right, that was encouraging because we know what happened. Markets reacted quite strongly. Right, the price of oil went down. But now we're finding out day by day that really not very much seems to have changed. So when does that get factored in?
I think it will depend. I mean, it's a matter of months, really, because first there's been a lot of destruction in the Middle East about the oil and gas productions. And so we don't exactly know how long it will take before production gets back to the value it had 6 weeks ago.
So,
yes.
Go ahead.
And so this will keep pressure on prices. Also, we lifted some of the sanctions on the oil coming from Russia. So that will probably be back these sanctions. So that means that this oil will not be as available as it is today, for example. So all this means that there will be some tensions left, and I expect that oil prices will remain above $80 a barrel for the coming months.
So months, because this is not just about the Strait of Hormuz. This is about other installations across that part of the world that have been damaged, and that's going to take a while to get back online?
Yes, because you have to put the oil on the ship before it goes through the Detroit of Hormuz, and if there's an installation for extracting oil and bringing it on ships are destroyed, we cannot do that. So that's the reason. More short term, also, we have to switch from the winter to the summer gasoline recipe. And so in the coming few weeks, we should see an increase in the price of gasoline because of this shift. So,
just because of the switchover?
Yeah, because the refineries are being closed to switch, and that puts some pressure on the access to gasoline.
Okay, can I ask you the same question I think that woman was asking as well? Because people, I think, fairly ask the question, we're a big oil producer. We don't get our oil from that part of the world. Why is it costing us more? And I understand there's like a world price. But is there any way around that? And I know the discussion has come up saying, look, Canada produces so much oil. Yes, it's not refined here. Does this kind of a situation globally maybe have people sit back and go, maybe it's time we started getting more involved and doing more of the processing here and not relying on other people to do it for us?
It's not because we rely on other people. I mean, all the gasoline, for example, that we use in Quebec is refined in Quebec, and we bring the oil from the rest of Canada, Alberta, or from the U.S. It's really a matter of, if I'm a producer of oil, I don't want to be restricted in the amount I can sell it, the value. So this was one issue about 40 years ago under the Trudeau government, the father, who wanted to have a national energy policy to kind of control prices and make sure that prices would be lower in Canada, and that didn't go well with Alberta. So it's the same situation today. The oil producers want to be able to sell oil to anybody, not to be selling below world market to other Canadians. So what happened in a few countries, it's either a subsidy on oil, or from both Saudi Arabia keep some of the oil at below world market that is being produced, and it's a national producer, and it's sold in Saudi Arabia well below the world market prices.
So do you ever see it getting to a point, if you go back to the Trudeau the father, when you say trying to implement that kind of a policy, do we ever go back to that? I mean, given the fact that this is having such a negative impact on Canadians, we never know what's going to happen, of course.
I don't think that the oil producer would be happier.
No?
Although they're benefiting hugely, and it's most of the owner of the Canadian oil companies are American, so most of the profits are leaving the country. But it also shows that it doesn't mean much being kind of a superpower when it comes to oil and gas, because the Canadians will pay the same price as the rest of the world. So moving off oil and gas is clearly the best solution to avoid these issues. But Canada is demonstrating a strong turnaround and slowing down in the electrification and moving away from the use of oil and gas.
I wonder, too, someone's asked the question while we're chatting. You mentioned, this idea of switching from winter gas to summer gas. Why we do that, and why is that necessary?
Because, for example, we need less diesel in the summer because we're not heating houses. There's also because of the temperature is warmer, so you don't need exactly the same recipe to make sure that the gasoline doesn't evaporate too much, for example. So there's all type of issues that means that you have to change the recipe.
So the one thing,
quality and things like that.
Yeah, the one thing I did want to ask was with respect to the price of oil going up and down. We know, given obviously what's going on right now in the Middle East with the Iranian-U.S. situation, et cetera, we understand why this is happening. If I can go fast forward, 6 months, a year from now, when this is no longer being talked about or in focus, do you ever see? I mean, the price of oil in the past has been fairly stable for a while. Then geopolitical events come along, or there's a recession, or something happens. The price. Do you see sort of a stable price at some point, and what would that be a barrel?
No, it's very hard to say. We're in a situation of overproduction over the last 2 years or so. So that's why prices were so low. I mean, $100 a barrel sounds expensive, but in fact, it was at around this price for 4 or 5 years between 2010 and 2015, before the inflation. So this price of $100 is maybe equivalent to a $75 a barrel 15 years ago. So in fact, prices, I think we overstate what's really happening with the Middle East. Prices have not gone up that much when you look at history. In 2008, 2009, 2008, we had oil prices getting to $150 a barrel in 2008 dollars, not in 2025 dollars. So in fact, what I'm surprised is how little oil prices have gone up, really.
There's people shaking their fists at you now listening to you say that on the radio because they're paying, almost $2 for a liter of oil of gas right now.
I agree, but we paid $2 a barrel, $2 a liter 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So in terms of purchasing power, this is much lower. So we're still not paying very much for gasoline.
So forget about the idea of going back to $1.40 a liter. That's not happening.
No, I think it will be coming back because we are overall in a situation of overproduction. Other countries are moving to electrify. I think we'll see an acceleration because countries who depend on importing oil to for the energy, I've seen how sensitive they are to this.
Yeah.
In Canada, we never had the problem of will we be having enough oil and gasoline. We know we'll pay more, but it's there. But in many countries in Asia, the issue was we won't have oil and gas. And this is a major tension. And what we'll see is that the demand will therefore go down, so we'll still be an oversupply. So I think prices will go down quite a lot over the next coming years.
I'll leave it at that because that's the news everybody wants to hear. Monsieur Mousseau, I thank you so much for the time.
It's a pleasure.
I appreciate it.
Afternoon.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.